Welcome, everybody. And please join me in saying hi, everyone.
Welcome, everybody. It's wonderful to see everybody joining.
I'll just give it a few seconds and we will start.
Maybe we could all write in the chat box where we're coming in from today.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. So great to see so many of you here. Right. Fantastic. So many places. Fantastic. Well, with 2 minutes in and with a very packed agenda, I'm going to start us off. Welcome, everybody, to this amazing space to discuss schools and education. It's a real pleasure to welcome you all and have this wonderful group of panelists who are joining us from different places around the world. Briefly from me, I am Carolina Escobar. I am a change maker at heart with a very strong calling towards the need to contribute towards the shaping of better, thriving futures for all. And I lead the schools and education theme at Doughnut Economics Action Lab by co-creating that space with all of you who are here. And as we are seeing every day by day, how it's increasingly becoming more important and more exciting to share this space. So thank you, everybody, for being here. I'll hand it over to you, Kate, please.
Thanks, Caroline, and hello, everybody. I'm Kate Raworth, and I'm really delighted to be in this session. I wrote Doughnut Economics, and it was published in 2017. I wrote it as the book that I wished I could have read when I was a university student. But what really blew me away was the teachers, school teachers, who very quickly started taking up the ideas and introducing them into their classrooms. I vividly remember one day turning on Twitter, and there was an image from a teacher. She said, it's the first day of the new school year. I'm pushing aside the curriculum and I'm going to teach the students this donut because this is what I think they need to learn. And it really struck me in that moment of what it means when a teacher with conviction and care for their students brings into the classroom the ideas that they believe that can be transformative for those students. And I just thought, what could possibly happen if we could bring the ideas and the teachers were bringing everything they knew about what makes a class work well, what will motivate the students, how to engage them, how long the session should be, how detailed it should be. What could happen if we actually worked together? And that, of course, inspired us to co-create Doughnut Economics Action Lab, to work with pioneers in many, many areas in education, but also in cities and communities and in business, and always with the teachers. How can we work together to turn these ideas into really useful tools and workshops and lesson plans that actually inspire our children and all of us through lifelong learning? So I'm just really thrilled to be part of this webinar. Carolina joined our team, what was it, a year and a half, 2 years ago, and has
almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years ago. We were so thrilled when she joined the team and brought in this really creative and holistic approach to education, and then had the capacity to actually start working with teachers to connect, to listen, to sense, to know what teachers actually were doing and wanting. And it's led to the creation of some tools, but so much learning from us with all of you. So I'm just really glad to be here, especially today. I'm finding the aftermath of the US election really challenging. And I'm really glad to be here today with teachers who care about the ideas that will shape the next generation of young people. How can we profoundly land ideas with them that will guide us and them and all of us through this century? So I will hand back to Carolina, and I'm so looking forward to hearing the examples that are going to be shared today.
Thank you, Kate. So I've started to share my screen. I hope that you're seeing my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you. So I
Yes,
may
Vicky.
not be able to see everyone now, but please let me know if anything goes wrong. Thank you so much for those words, Kate. And before we start our conversation with our speakers, I just want to give you a quick overview of what we're doing today, because it's really packed. But I want to take you through the tools, the foundational tools that we recently launched about a month ago. And then we will have that conversation with 6 organizations pioneering this work in schools and education and working with these foundational tools. And then we'll have an open space for all of us to ask any questions and have a relaxed conversation, hold what is difficult and what is exciting, and leave this room hopefully inspired and with plans of what to do next. So everything about the donut, as Kate mentioned, has to do with learning, and learning by sensing, by experiencing, by living our everyday. And so in the theme of education, we have lots of different priorities that we've been working on since the beginning. But for the last couple of years, it has become increasingly clear that we want to and we need to design, create these foundational tools that bring the concepts of Doughnut Economics to schools ready to go. We've also been engaging in curriculum design and textbook writing, and there will be a session about this later with Kate following this session. And others rethinking economics. And then we've also been working with contributing somehow from the lines to the design of new schools around the world, and what would it mean to bring education in different ways. But certainly at the moment, what we've been focusing is in this ambition of bringing these concepts for schools and young people in rural and in urban spaces, formal and informal, for 5 to 18-year-olds in general around the world. And from the beginning, we knew that this was a huge endeavor. And so today we want to celebrate with you the launch of these tools and what we have learned so far. It's only the beginning, but certainly we've already walked a strong, important path in this journey. So nothing would have been possible at all without the global effort and support from a diverse community of teachers and learners around the world. Some of them joining us today here in the screen. And we have this exciting panel then to learn more about how to get started, but also how to navigate any challenges, how to take up opportunities, and how can you get started in your own place. So I will let them introduce each individually in a minute. But before that, just to celebrate, as I said at the beginning, what we've recently launched, and to give a bit of context to those of you who are joining us today who may not be familiar with them yet. So we launched back in September, at the beginning of September, Hello Doughnut, Preparing to Teach and the Dimensions of the Doughnut. We designed this at the beginning, as I mentioned, with this ambition to bring them to an ecosystem of education that is very diverse and is plural around the world. And so we recognized from the beginning that we needed to do this with you, with our communities, and learn from the success, but also from the challenges of how can we make this work around the world, and especially in a way that is transformative and that it can really begin to change the education that we need and that it serves around the world for regenerative futures. So very quickly, Preparing to Teach, it's this tool that supports how we set up that context or that environment when we start teaching. How do we create these best conditions for learning to happen and be transformative? And so we have this tool available now for you to download for free. That is from 5-year-old onwards to 120-year-olds and beyond, to prepare that ground, to set that conducive mindset that will enable young and old, experienced or not, to become a facilitator for young people to take them in their hands and start engaging with the Doughnut without waiting for anyone else to put this in the curriculum while we get there. But we also were very aware that we need to do this and learn this in a multi-layered way. Sorry, my screen went quicker than it should have. So we knew that we wanted to do this in a multi-layered way, bringing not only the rational, which is what we call the head, but also the heart, how we feel and how we react to things, our hands, how we experience the world and how we engage with our learning, how can we put it into action, and our feet, which is quite important and perhaps ever more important today, where we come from and our context, our positionality in the world, how we've grown up and the culture that surrounds us. And we understand that this looks very different in different places and it means different things. But in the tool, once you get there, you will see different cards that will help you set up this context that I've just mentioned. And the idea is that you can use them depending on your time availability, your constraints, and you can mix them up, run them faster or slower or over a period of weeks if that's what you have. So the complexity of the cards can be scaled up or down depending in your context. Some possible combinations of lessons are also offered in our tools. So you will also be able as a teacher or as a learner to decide how many sessions you can afford to have, how can you adapt them to your context, to your students, to your socioeconomic backgrounds or the socio-governmental, the ecosystem that you may be surrounded by. We also have different activities that come in each of these cards that you can adapt to your sessions again. So all these, just to show you very quickly that once you go into your tool, you can find different ways of adapting these cards. Now, moving on to Hello Doughnut, which is like our pioneering central concept in the Doughnut, introducing and bringing the Doughnut to schools. And we are doing this in 4 different ways, in bespoke ways, where we introduce the Doughnut to different age brackets. And so again, just like with the previous tool, we have different colors of the cards that you can mix and match depending on your context, where you have opportunities to set up the context with your yellow cards, to bring insights, which is really the core Doughnut Economics concept, which is that red, orangey card, activity cards, which are the green cards, and then reflection cards, which brings everyone together to make meaning or wrap up the concepts and reflect as well from your own place. What does that mean? Because again, all these things will look different in different places. So just to zoom very quickly in one of the tools to help you even further get confident on how you can get engaged, get started with our tools. This is a screenshot of Hello Doughnut 12 to 16, which is one of the challenging age brackets because it mixes very different stages of teenagers. But the idea is that once you go into the tool, you can again adapt and make it bespoke to the particular students that you have and their ages. And you will see, just as you see on the slide, an array of different cards that you can mix and match and you can scale up or down. Again, we suggest different types of lessons. We always recommend 2 lessons that are ideal for this type of content, but again, you are free to just use the cards that you need in the particular moment that you are. Another very important slide that we include, or card that we include in those tools, is our practical preparations. We've heard from many of our community members that they don't know where to start and perhaps they lack the confidence to engage with this concept. So the practical preparations are a really useful way of helping you get started wherever you are and feel confident and be confident with you and your students and your learners. And finally, we have the dimensions of the Doughnut. We launched the version 2 of this tool that has been used widely around the world. And the idea of this update is that it brings more emphatically, I guess, examples of positive action, of initiatives and projects around the world that are already happening, especially young people that are bringing these changes into the community. So I invite you to revisit that tool. If you are already familiar with it, or if it's new to you, please download it. It's available for everyone to use. Right, that brings me to the end of that very speedy overview of so many tools that are available. So I want to bring it now to our meaty part of the session, which is this conversation with our panel.
Inside the cage?
Sorry?
No, there isn't. Not at Harris. We're not going to Harris. We're going to
QPCS. We have someone who is
Where's the water there?
not mute. So we want to invite
so
now
we need
the
to bring your
panel
water
to
bottle.
start
Is
the
it in your bag?
Can I
You got anything in it?
Mute the speakers? Thank you so much. So we have a very tight agenda, and so being mindful of the time, the sessions that will follow this session, and everyone's contribution that we want to hear. Please excuse me, apologies in advance if I have to interrupt anyone in the middle of the things, but hopefully we will all keep to our times. So I would like now to start handing it over to our panelists. And if I could invite Laura first to the floor. I'm gonna have to switch quickly what I'm sharing. If you give me 1 second, please. Quickly, we say it's always quickly and it's not as quickly as we think. Okay. Oh no, sorry. It's not happening as I wanted it to happen. Laura, sorry.
Would you like for me to get started anyway?
Yes,
Shadow?
please. That may
Sure.
be the best.
Sure. Okay, well, my name is Laura Guadiana. I'm from Mexico. I'm in Tijuana. I woke up with very sad feelings today, and as Kate mentioned, I was so excited that we were going to get together. I founded a small elementary school in Tijuana, Mexico. And this was 10 years ago after a very critical incident in my professional life, where I had been teaching college students and doing psychotherapy, but I decided to turn towards children. It just made so much sense. And through just lots of people and goodwill, I was able to start a school. A very unlikely experience, but I thought I could, and I did. And so here we are 10 years later. This is a project-based learning school in Tijuana. Very small, very personalized, and so much fun. Thank you.
Sorry, Laura, apologies. My screen has frozen and I am unable to switch screens. There is tech for us.
No problem.
Hopefully, if you can share your slides later with us, people can have a look. Apologies. If I may now call the next speaker, please. I believe is Kat. I've lost my notes in the middle of all of this.
Sure, I can go. Jayden, would you share the slides, please? So, hi, everybody. I'm Kat. I'm actually originally from Singapore. Maybe you can pick up my accent. But I've lived and taught most of my life in China, in international schools. So actually, I came across Doughnut Economics. I read the book about 5 years ago, actually on a holiday trip. And it was, yeah, I was very moved by it. And then after that, I discovered Deal and I joined the Deal community. So that was how it began. And I'm actually an economics teacher. I'm an economist by training. I teach the IBDP economics, so I teach high schoolers. So one of the first things I always do with my students, and they are on the panel here with us, is really to take them through a timeline of economic thought. And so starting from 1776 with Adam Smith, each student would take a particular economist, research on the economist and put it on the Padlet timeline. And then the students would share and discover how actually economic theory does change over time. And very often economic theories and theorists were responding to a particular context. And of course, one of my dear students, her name is Sally. She's already graduated already. But she got assigned Kate Raworth to study, to research. And of course, she, being a very curious, as a lot of our students are, she continued to go find out more even after the learning activities ended. And so she went into Deal, and then she found me on Deal, and she came and talked to me and said, Miss Ho, are you actually part of this Doughnut Economics Action Lab thing? And I'm like, well, yes, I signed up, And so from there, actually, it was all a student-led initiative. So she got really excited. She got some of her friends together, and that's how Doughnut Revolution began in our school. So that was 3 years ago. So one of the first things they did, if you see at the next slide, is they then started a poster blitz in the school. They created all these posters. Jayden, you can move the slide up. Yeah, they created all these posters, and they strategically placed them in the stalls of the bathrooms. So everybody who used the bathroom were like they know about the donut. And yeah, and many of them are still up after 3 years. So that was one of the things. The next thing that they did was they actually alongside, we requested actually the whole school to have an assembly, and I invited Robert Shorter to actually speak to the whole school, and as part of our Break the Bible dialogue series. One of the things that we are very concerned about is nurturing global citizens, and so you will see the student there. That's Sally and Audrey, all graduates already. And subsequently, they also did other activities, which included parent workshops. They also did quizzes. Let's move on to the next slide. They even created short little movies on what is the donut on the Flipgrid, and had people also respond it on Flipgrid. So there were a lot of different things going on. So it was very exciting, and the momentum was passed on. So if you go on to the next slide, you will see. Jayden, we can move on to the next slide. Yes. And then, of course, as they have graduated, they have kind of passed on the baton to our new generation of students, and affectionately called the Donutters in school. And the club that they run actually is called the Doughnut Revolution. So now I'm going to pass the time to Jayden and Brendan, who are here, who are leading right now the Doughnut Revolution in our school.
Thank you, Kash.
Right, yeah. So my name is Brandon, and I'm here with my partner Jayden, and we are both year 13 students here, sorry, at Dulwich College, Beijing. And yeah, we're excited to share what we've done for the past year. We first learned about Doughnut, of course, like Ms. Ho said, about 3 years ago, and then about last year, we got introduced to it officially, and then we read about it, we heard about it, and we were super interested in it. So then we sort of just carry on the baton and started organizing our own events. And with last year, our activities mainly centered around spreading awareness, educating our particularly younger students what they thought, and also what they thought about economics in general, and also how can we integrate the donut model into their understanding of economics, the basics of it. And so some examples of the activities that we did was we hosted multiple different courses targeted towards different low year students using the deal tools that we were given. And we adapted these tools into different presentations targeted towards students that had different levels of economic understanding. So with lower year students, such as year 7, year 8s, we focus mainly on the larger concepts, broader concepts of sustainable development and also basic economic education. And with higher students, such as year 10s, we focus more towards having a deeper understanding of economics, how GDP works, and how perhaps we can adapt the donut model into our understanding of macroeconomics. And so, so these are some examples that we did. We also had multiple smaller events, such as on the International Women's Day, we interviewed many teachers at our school. And we also did on Earth Day, we did a stall where we showcased a large donut model, sort of like a poster, and then we invited students and teachers to interact with it, having post notes on it, sharing how they contributed to perhaps the good sides and the bad sides of donut, and to let them reflect on how they can integrate the donut model into their own lives. Yeah. And I'll pass it on to Jayden.
My name is Jayden, and I'm gonna be covering basically what our experience with the deal tools. So the first thing that we learned was that the deal tools are really adaptable, and we customize them in an order that we thought, as Brandon said, would fit the different year groups, because we covered, for example, year 7s to year 9s, and therefore they can be these tools can be customized specifically for your class to create more engaging lessons and environments. And also we learned that these tools largely promote critical thinking. And overall, the donut model, as it was quite foreign, I would say, to some of the younger students in our school before we taught them about it, it can kind of inspire critical thinking and analysis, because we found out that many students, for example, knew about basic economic concepts such as the GDP, but when we discussed the donut in depth, it was more thought-provoking, and we felt like it was a direct causation through the directly caused by the deal tools. And here's some of our advice from taking what we learned and into how like we can effectively inspire younger generations. So the first thing is to be passionate when teaching, because when we're teaching students about these foreign ideas, as I've mentioned, it was important to have a sense of optimism and to highlight things, positive things and changes that have been made around the world to foster an inquisitive and curious environment for students. And it was also quite effective for us to connect larger concepts with our local community in our school. So for example, we took certain aspects of the donut and certain, for example, sections of the overshoot, and we connected it to our own school to better help students visualize the donut model. And regarding planning challenges and obstacles, through our planning process, we actually have, we don't only have two leaders, we have multiple. And through constantly communicating our different perspectives on how we think the tools could be adapted and customized, it really helped to create more engaging lessons. And we think that's quite a big part of like what the deal tools promote as well.
Thank you very much. If I may invite Vicky now.
Thanks so much, Carolina, and really lovely to be here and to hear all of the other experiences. I'm Vicky. I work in I work in the area of global justice education with Financial Justice Ireland. I work with Hilary, Thomas, and Dara. So my colleague Hilary, our education coordinator, is very involved in Doughnut Economics, degrowth and post-growth, just transition. She's been doing a lot of materials on that, and it has been part of all our work as well. FJI was set up 30 years ago in response to the global debt justice crisis, or the global debt crisis. And we design and deliver courses and workshops and materials for educators, for students and community groups that focus on root structural causes. So we address these kind of issues in our work already, and the kind of changes that need to take place, I suppose, at that level. So we were very, very excited at the opportunity to meet Carolina, to be, you know, part of piloting the materials. That was a really wonderful opportunity for us. Our pilot was, sorry, I forgot that I had slides. I could move them. Our pilot was very, very modest. We worked with 2 secondary schools, and they were not, you know, it wasn't a long engagement, but we were very much supported by 2 exceptional teachers, Eileen Fitzgerald and Aisling Collins, here in the west of Ireland. So the first school, Seamount College, is in a small rural village. It's a very small village, very vibrant though, a lot of environmental activism, a lot of arts, Palestine solidarity, all sorts of things going on locally. And so this workshop was with 15-year-olds. It was an introduction to the dimensions, I suppose, and students also explored and shared some of their thoughts about possibilities and new ideas that they would like to see emerge. The other school was Gorse Community School, slightly bigger, again, a very diverse, thriving, vibrant community. And in this case, the students were using Doughnut Economics as a framework to integrate into an enterprise project that they were developing. So they were using Doughnut Economics as a framework to challenge some assumptions about, you know, conventional profit-driven kind of enterprises, and to see how they could really embed environmental and social concerns and relationships at the heart of their project. So our experience of this of the materials in the pilot was really, really positive. first of all, just that the materials are so well designed, and congratulations on that, Carolina and the whole team. They're really meticulously researched and thought through, really sensitive to so many different kind of contexts that you might find yourself in. So it gives you a lot of confidence, or at least that's what I found. Also, the flexibility is wonderful because it allowed us to scale the workshops. So for a one-off session, for example, of the kind that we ran, or that it could be scaled and sequenced for a longer kind of learning journey. Our adaptations, therefore, were pretty minimal. We adapted the language just slightly to make sure that all of the students participating in the workshop could really feel at ease and confident about, the language that they were using. And we found that talking about rational economic man was a great way to begin a discussion about a system, I suppose. So we began by thinking about what rational economic man might be like to meet. What would he be like to hang out with? And from there to think about a system based on those same priorities. So on that basis, I just wanted to share this piece of artwork that the teacher, Aisling Collins in Gorse Community School, shared with us afterwards, of where one of the students actually created a portrait of rational economic man sitting on his bags of money and throwing around his bags of trash, just as a little motivator, I suppose, to remind us of how important it is to challenge that and how much creativity the students bring to this work. Thanks a million.
Thank you very much, Vicky. And if I may invite Brainy now to share with us his slides.
Well, can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Okay. Okay.
Marleen, perhaps oh no, here we go.
Okay.
Thank you, Brainy.
So, welcome. So, I'm called Brainy, and dialing in from Uganda. So, I'm the founder of Spectrum, which is a high school and run by a non-profit that focuses on building community assets. So we try to build a generation of young people and transforming them into assets as people who bring food, water, energy to any community, regardless of the language they speak. So that's our mission. And how did we get to discover Doughnut Economics? I discovered about Doughnut Economics when I was involved with the Syntropic World run by Christine McDougall. And it was a climate week when I met Cindy, an environmental activist who understood our goal and our sustainable driven curriculum. And she decided to introduce us to DEAL team so that we can give a trial to Doughnut Economics tools. And when I met Carolina first time and broke down the concepts, gave us an overview, we were able to learn that really this resonated with what Spectrum was looking at in order to nurture the next generation of activists who are able to take care of both people and the planet. So we were inspired to rethink and also help our students or help a next generation of young people who are able to rethink the economic concepts, not focusing on profits, but also taking care of people and also the planet. And now we have a way we try to adapt the tools into the classroom, which started with an overview of the discussion of the tools. And now after the discussion of the tools, we try to connect the tools with the foundational subjects that are already taught in high school in the country. So the relationship came into humanities and sciences and environmental studies. And then students tried to relate the two, and they tried to see the principles of the Doughnut Economics and the relationship between balancing the ecology. So now the students have the term, don't leave anyone in the hole. So, the tools, some of the techniques that we used were using the diagrams that are provided in the kits, and then rating the SDGs represented in the kits and the cards, and then the Sustainable Development Goals. There are some which our own students may not apply locally, because some have life below water, or maybe space where students haven't visited, but at least we try to bring local examples where we say maybe no poverty, then we read to local people in our communities who might be poor, and then students read the situations, and some of them are poor, and then they try to see why they have been left in the hole. It is because of the existing economic models, and we try also to use local concepts like water access, and they have the same problem sometimes in their own communities. Some of them don't have water access, and some of them don't have enough food, and other resources like access to energy, of which these are most of the critical issues that students related to, and they found that they were almost falling in the hole, and then they had to understand the principle. So this inspired and had to spark a learning curve that fostered a collective resilience between students, and they realized that all these problems and foundation, or most especially the foundation, social foundation, we can't achieve them without a collective effort around the world. So they realized that we need collective effort to address some of the social issues that must push some other people in the hole, and also other social issues that might affect the planet. So we make sure that at least each person is within that part of the donut that is safe for humanity. So some of the takeaways that for our community, including students and teachers, were that it sparks a critical dialogue between teachers themselves, and it sparked new conversations, new way of understanding the world, new way of approaching economics, a new way of approaching business, a new way of approaching problems. Because some of the problems, when approached wrongly, might create other problems, like affecting the planetary boundaries, or even leaving other people outside or in the hole. So it also strengthened the commitment of both teachers and students to prioritize the impact of their work over the profit. And as the opportunities that we came up with at the end of this trial was that we were inspired at Spectrum to find how we can build a resourceful program and inspire the rest of the people around East Africa, because this is a new concept. But I think we were inspired not to stop here, but also try to build a resource center so that we multiply the access of these economic materials and donut tools, so that there is inclusivity in our approach, so that other people have also access, and also support these tools with technologies to accelerate access, and also solve some of the planetary boundaries that might be as a result of our work. So
thank you, Brainy.
We hope they are, yes. So
thank you so much.
Thank you.
You can bring
Welcome.
a lot more about that in the panel. Apologies to cut you short. I'm just trying to keep
No
us
problem.
in time. If I could invite Marleen to the stage, please.
All right. Hi, everyone. Let me just try to fix this sharing the PowerPoint. Yeah, you are in the way. This also happened when we practice. I didn't learn, sorry. Okay, so here we are. Hello, everyone. I am Marleen, based in Utrecht.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Marleen, just a heads up that we see the speaker's view, if that's your intention.
No, it's not. It did. I don't know what happened. Oh my God. The techniques are not helping us. How do I fix this then?
I think the little hand icon with the 2 is saying, yeah, second try is the charm.
Is it now good?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, sorry. So this is already half of my presentation time gone now. But anyways, so I work for MasterPeace, an international NGO, and we first encountered with Doughnut Economics actually back in 2018. I joined a real life panel discussion with Kate at Utrecht University, and I was in the audience. And you know, listening to Kate's story and also the strong visual that is the donut, it clicked for me at that moment what our teams in the different countries were already telling us for a while. We are a peace movement, and as a peace movement, we should not only focus on human well-being, but we should also focus on the well-being of the planet. So since then, we've been working with Doughnut Economics, creating all sorts of educational materials. And now we're super excited that Carolina joined the deal team over a year ago, or almost over a year ago, and that we now can also test the materials deal created. So as an international NGO, it is our belief that everyone has talent, and we try to mobilize as much talent as possible to create a more peaceful, inclusive and sustainable world. And like I said, we're active in different countries, actually in 45 countries, with 60 so-called MasterPeace clubs. So these are our local teams, our local boots on the ground. And we run all kinds of projects. And like I said, since 2018, we also test educational materials around the concept of Doughnut economy via various international projects. And I would like to shortly highlight one of these projects and discuss its key learnings. So we have this project called Act as a Doughnut. It already started in 2021. Several of our teams are involved in this project, and more than 300 students worked with us. And the main goal was to engage, connect, and empower these youngsters to be an active citizen to co-create their thriving city. And looking at the key learnings, working with the various Doughnut economic tools, I think it's really about simplifying the concept to meet the students where they are. So not being too theoretical, but really making it practical and focus on the local, easy to understand issues, and also the local issues that concern them, that speak to them. And of course, also always being hands-on, having active exercises, and involving the head, heart, hands, and feet, like also Carolina now beautifully created in the new deal materials. And then also dedicate time for reflections and processing, because it is a lot sometimes to absorb, and it can also be a bit scary. But we as MasterPeace always focus on the positive side, and we always focus on let's act. So we always, involve a local community action. Let them brainstorm. Okay, you learned about Doughnut economics. Okay, so what can you do? What can you do with your class? What can you do inside of school? Maybe inside your neighborhood. And just to show you some of the visuals, we are often outside school. We love going to the neighborhood, going to this great community garden or great community center. Also creativity, let them draw and let them really experience this thinking of Doughnut economics. So that was it, hopefully within the time. Thank you. And I will try to stop share again.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much, Marleen, and I'm so sorry to be rushing everyone. If I would like to invite again Laura, who we couldn't present with the slides before, and perhaps join it with the opening of the panel conversation, which really, from hearing from everyone, what I'm listening to is that you can start from so many places. You can start top down, up, bottom up, or side to side. There's so many different ways of doing this. So perhaps Laura, attached to your presentation, if you could also begin to share with us a little bit of, how the journey has been so far for you in terms of what you're experiencing in the journey. Thank you. I'll hand it over to you.
Hi, everybody, once more. So I think I'm what Carl Jung would recognize as a wounded healer. I think that your heart has to be in doing this, because if it's not something that has a lot of meaning to you, then you probably won't be very enthusiastic about it or very contagious about it, which I think is super important. Firstly, I was a psychotherapist, and I've always been an educator. My life, I think, and my personal mission are all about healing, relearning, giving ourselves and giving others the opportunity to relearn how to do things once we have more experience. And I basically have always wanted to be the kind of person who can foster the beginnings of hope and the beginnings of trust, which are, I think, two key ingredients, because you can have a beautiful model, but if those things are not in place, then it's not going to take off and it's not going to make a lot of sense. I came to Doughnut Economics through serendipity. I caught a video of Kate, and I think it just kind of exploded in my mind. I felt like we were kindred spirits or something. Like it just made so much sense. The thriving and the social justice and all these things just were really spoke to me. So I was left with so many more questions than answers, because obviously I'm in an environment currently of elementary school, and I was just trying to figure out how to get these ideas through to children. And so I reached out thinking nobody would answer, and boom, right off.
Laura, we lost your video. If we can't see you, we can hear you, but we can't see you.
Okay.
There you are.
Here I am.
Yes.
Here I am. Okay. So I was very happy to have the opportunity of connecting with Carolina. I think, Carolina, you're wonderful. You're generous. You're so supportive, and you have so many ideas, and you were very helpful. And I think she pointed me in the direction of something that is very basic, and I super recommend it to educators, is to start off with storytelling, because that is a natural medium for children. That is how they learn about history and their life, and just stories are so important. And you recommended Milo and the Magical Stones, and it was just incredible. I mean, the kids just absolutely got it. I think when I came up with the idea, we're a project-based learning school. And so when I came up with the idea of doing a school-wide project on economics, everybody said, you're crazy. I mean, kids are not going to get it. But through that story, and then through the tools that you offered us, and through that workshop that you were so kind and generous enough to give us, I think all the kids it just caught fire, and everybody was so excited. The kids were excited, the parents were excited, the teachers were motivated. And I think that's what makes things go forward, because it just became so personal and so accessible. So we basically, first through sixth students, we all did a big project. Everybody personalized it. It was entrepreneurship, but with a different sense and with a different meaning. I want to go to the third slide, and I want to let you guys know, or share with you, that getting started is so much easier than keeping it going. I think if I were to share one grain of truth, I think that would be the main thing that I want to share with you, because that's the hard part. I mean, when you're honeymooning with something, when you're experiencing it, experiencing it, it's so easy to get involved, but then you have to, it's like a marriage, you have to keep it going. And so if you want to marry the donut, you have to embrace it not only philosophically, but existentially. You have to make sense of it. You need to understand how urgent this is, and you need to just absorb it like second nature in a mindset that leads you to different kinds of ways of relating to people, to the world, different ways of planning travel, planning lessons, sharing with colleagues, planning field trips. I think now our school is just trying to always keep that in mind and filter our decision-making processes with how it's going to impact everything else. Kids are beautiful activists. They're creative. They just love a challenge, and they motivate us to keep going as well. I'm certain that we can do this. I'm certain that we can do it with integrity. We can do it with determination and with enthusiasm. I think that we need to think about this. I invite all of you here to think about this and to ask yourself how you can make a difference and how you can make this magic happen. I think the world really needs it. And I think it's great. And thank you, Kate, and thank you everybody for this opportunity to share my ideas.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you for sharing those beautiful slides again. We did it. And that that follows really well now into the next thing that I would like to bring to our panelists. You were talking about transformations, Laura, and I've been hearing a lot of these from each of you. So perhaps if we start with Marleen, please, how you're seeing this in your projects with your students.
Yeah, sure. So what have been like, I think the most exciting transformation that we've seen is really, I think, the click in teachers and students' heads when we explain the model and its boundaries. That when we show the model, often a simplified version to the younger students, and their realizations that there is an alternative way of living which resonates way better with them than the 20th century old school economics. And especially with the students, this is almost a no-brainer. It makes so much sense to them to think in a different way about economics. But I have invited one of our students, Laura. So if I can give her the floor, I see her. She has a beautiful, colorful background. Laura, can you maybe share what was most exciting for you to work with Doughnut Economics?
So hi everyone, I'm Laura. I was with Marleen last year. The MasterPeace came and did the model of the future at my school, Albeida. And for me, what was most exciting is that it wasn't just like a day-to-day class. It's not like sitting every day in a classroom. With MasterPeace, with the Doughnut economy, we got active. We went outside, visited different businesses, and also it challenged us to see things a different way. And also, yeah, it got us a little bit busy, like doing like research. How can we make like these business more sustainable? And you also learn a lot on the way. You also get like we also got like advice from professionals, people that are a little bit experienced in the area. So yeah, I learned a lot, and also it was really nice because all of the first year students got together, so all of the classes were mixed with each other and made a lot of different friends and learned a lot. So it was really, really nice. And that's also why I'm doing my internship at MasterPeace now.
Fantastic and so inspiring to hear from a young person, and that follows really well. If I could invite back Doughnut Revolution and hear from you how this has been transforming for you.
Yeah, so one of the most exciting transformations that happened actually began in one of the sessions that we hosted for one of the younger years, like year 9 students. And one of the students was really knowledgeable about I guess issues that we thought might be too complex for younger students to understand. And at the end of the session, we found that it was not only her that became really, I guess, enthusiastic about the donut, and also wider goals for our world. And this is one of the biggest, like most exciting transformations for us as students as well, because we felt like we had a real impact on the younger students and what they were learning. And we also had many students that we taught for like 1 or 2 classes come up to us after sessions and throughout the year, telling us about some new research or some new articles that they saw that and relating them to the donut. So it was really transformative for us to see how that experience might have helped shape their mindsets. Yeah.
So inspiring to hear. And if we could finish this round with Vicky and hear from your students and how you see transformation in your spaces, please.
Thanks, Carolina. I think there was just one small example that we had been talking about, which was it was a very tiny moment in one of the workshops where there was a shift from thinking about the things that people need, I suppose, in terms of those social foundations. And I think one of the teachers had put forward an idea that there could be tax breaks for something in relation to building up, better health in the community. And the way the students kind of, 13-year-olds just kind of ran with that and then started to question it and think, well, why should things that we need to live and thrive be behind a paywall, basically, or tied to people who already have incomes that are high enough to benefit from those kind of tax breaks. So since in Financial Justice Ireland, I suppose that's something that we talk about a lot. That was just a very exciting moment to see that emerge organically from this process, where the young people were just thinking very, very critically and in this much more open kind of way, I suppose, about how do we design a society and how would our systems need to be designed to ensure that this kind of that these dimensions that are portrayed in the donut so clearly could be met for everybody. So that was just a glimpse of a transformative moment that I really enjoyed. Just wanted to share.
Thank you. I'm hearing from you a lot about alternative ways of living and development of critical thinking of younger students, but also rekindling that passion to teach from all of you as teachers or facilitators, from many parents that we hear as well. And doing it in a collaborative way, that is going in so many different directions. So we're running out of time. So I'm going to move now to one of the most exciting things that we've been discussing, which is what sort of advice or tips would you be able to share for everyone who is here and is thinking, what's my next step? How can I get started? So if I hand it over to Brainy, please, would you share with us from your experience, your advice?
Thank you so much. My advice for anyone who would like to get started is not to get worried about the materials, because the materials are so easy to localize in any context or in any community. So just approach them with open mind. And initially they might seem complex, but when with consistent exploration, they become easier to integrate. You may start small, maybe with a class discussion or just a project related to local community, and then build from there. So adaptation of these materials might be crucial, especially in the learning environment. For example, myself, I had to translate some ideas into more practical or locally relevant examples to help students and parents relate to them. And maybe some way of overcoming challenges requires that these tools often challenge deeply, or maybe they might be held in some economic beliefs, and it takes time for learners and community members to fully embrace the shift in this thinking. So creating supportive space for dialogue is essential. And also I would recommend collaborating with other educators, organizations that are familiar with Doughnut Economics and sharing experiences like we have just done, and resources can enrich the learning journey. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brainy. And if I could hand it over for some tips and advice from you, Laura.
I would say that one of the most critical aspects, it has to do with creating a community, of a dialogical community in your school or classroom or teacher's room, because that will help you resist trying to control everything. I think that's one of school authorities, teachers, we try to over control things. We should allow kids to run with this. We should trust that a community of inquiry will always have self-corrective mechanisms through dialogue. And so when kids start to take it in a direction that is going to lead to failure, I think the community will sense that if you keep the dialogue going and if you help them learn to listen, understand, speak their mind, etc. So I would say that would be one of the things that I would recommend. Thank you, Laura.
And finally, Kat, would you be able to share from your journey, which has been long, what advice would you give to everyone here who wants to get started?
Well, I think I agree with Laura. I mean, I think in the end, the students have to own it. And it's been very gratifying for me to see how, you know, we could give them a little bit of a scaffolding, but then, and a little bit sometimes of a nudge when they get really busy. But then it's very gratifying to see how they own it and they try and take it further. But to reiterate, one of the things that was hard is, and I guess one more thing could be in terms of engaging teachers, because our students come and they do graduate, but our teachers are there and they're the more stable stakeholder. So we have been giving out Doughnut Economics books to anybody who is willing to read it. At one time, I think I bought 50 copies. So yeah, so I think that's one of the things, is to create, you know, that allies where people have a sense of that the model in their mind, and then when we talk about it, it's kind of it's more common. The lingo is actually not so foreign. Yeah. But I do want to say that it's not all been easy. It's still difficult because the forgetfulness. People keep reverting back to the neoliberal vision and stories. It is not easy. So I would say, as just now Laura was saying, it's so easy to start it, but how do you keep it going? That has been the bigger challenge.
Thank you, Kat.
Caro?
See?
Can I add one more thing?
Of course.
The other thing would be write. I think we all need to start or continue writing. Writing about our experiences, just letting the word out, having people learn about this and become entusiasmados. How do you say that?
Enthusiastic, excited.
Yeah, enthused about this other way, alternative way of going through life.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. We are almost at the end of the session, so I want to open the floor now for your questions. It's been amazing, and there's so much more that we could say about this and what I've been learning from everyone. And this is one of our hopes at Teal, is to start creating more dedicated spaces to have these sort of conversations with everyone. Please share your thoughts and your ideas in the next 10 minutes or so before we wrap up, but also remember that we are always there to listening to you. So this is not the only space to do it if we don't have enough time. So I'll hand it over to everyone. Andrew, I don't know if you've been able to spot any questions already in the chat.
So we have had a little bit of a glitch where the chat box was accidentally disabled until just now, but I see thankfully, some people are coming to my rescue as I speak. So I see a question from Emi Boro, who's asking, how have you been incorporating with other models such as Eco School, Forest School, or other alternative methods? And I guess that's
who would
it's
like
not
to
clear,
take that?
so just grab that. Sorry, I think it might be more for you, Carolina.
For me.
To pick up and then
in the
then go from
spotlight.
there. Yeah.
I think it's more maybe for Kate, where the concepts have come from. And Kate is opening her eyes.
I actually, in reading the question, I imagined it meant, how are you working together with eco schools and forest schools? And is it possible to bring the concept together with these really grounded and tangible learning experiences? I personally don't know of teachers who've already done that, but it would be wonderful to learn of teachers who are bringing these together.
In our experiences in designing or creating these tools, we did talk with many teachers working in these spaces. And I suppose what we can see in the tools at the moment is that adaptability, that you don't have to be sitting within the walls or have high tech, that you can take a piece of paper and bring people together and start learning. And we've been learning that from those approaches, I guess, that are different to be sitting in a in a room watching at a screen. Magdalene, I see your hand is raised.
Yes.
Apologies if I mispronounce that, your name.
Yes, Magdalene. Thank you very
Magdalene.
much for all the presentation. I have a question. Because I have heard that in Germany there are some schools with a green office, and I thought and wanted to know if you use your a Doughnut exercise for the creation of green offices, because I thought that the Doughnut Economics could be useful for the implementation of a green office at school. I don't know if you know what I mean by green office.
Sustainable office?
Yes, it's a sustainable office, yes. And a lot of universities have green office now in Germany, and it is they have realized that it is for lecturer very useful to have this kind of offices, because they can introduce new models like Doughnut economics models in their courses, and then the student can use these learnings, or they can, yes, for the activities in a green office or sustainable office.
If I can just jump in there and just to respond to Magdalene's question, because I don't know about green offices at the level of schools,
Yes.
but certainly
Yes.
we've been interacting with green offices at the level of universities. And since you mentioned universities, I'm just going to say that it's now 38 minutes past whatever hour it is where you are in the world. On the hour, like in 22 minutes, we're going to be starting a session about Doughnut Economics for university courses. So I'm just flagging,
Yes.
if anybody's interested in materials that have been developed for undergraduate courses, and of course could be adapted for use by high school educators, please do join us in that next session. We'll be talking about making teaching materials available for universities too.
I'm sorry, but I mentioned green offices at school, not at university. At university, it's something that is usual, but I think now in the last 2 or 3 years, several schools in Germany have started to introduce green offices. That's why the question that I wanted to ask. But I know that it's here only about school education.
Thank you. We have about 6 minutes before we finish, and there's so many questions. If I could pick one that is recurringly coming up about how do I get started in a school that know nothing about the donut. I'm sure everyone of our pioneering teachers and learners here could add something to that, but I would say that the tools are out there, they're online and they're free to download. And you can, that's the first step, go, and even if you're an experienced teacher or a young person who is interested in these ideas, like many of our speakers were sharing, start from small. I think that's what I kept hearing. Start from small, create a space where that you can do after school or during a parents meeting or in your student group, hearing and learning from Doughnut Revolution. Anyone else who wants to add to that from our speakers in the room? Marleen.
If I may add, because some questions in the chat about how do I get started? So we as MasterPeace are hosting an sort of train the trainer session coming Friday as part of the Global Doughnut Days, and we will together share some more examples. We will try some online editions of the great new deal tools. So please feel free to join. And I will share the link in the chat. It's also on the deal page, our event for coming Friday.
I think you're on mute, Carolina. I was just from the moment that it shared the screen. Sorry.
Thank you. It had to happen, right? I was saying that I've collated in that slide that you're looking at the 5 key takeaways that we've been learning from our communities and from what you've been hearing today, that there is definitely an urgent need for education to be updated, to be understanding education differently, to engage with students differently and teachers around the world, that these learning materials must be accessible. And from DEAL, this is our first broad brush stroke into an intention to begin that transformation of bringing that change through the core tools, the core concepts of Doughnut Economics. But by no means we're saying that these are perfect. We want to hear from you. We want to learn from you. And these tools will be changing and evolving. Start small, start bottom up, side to sideways, create experiences of hope, even if it's difficult. Grieving is also okay, but it will always create transformation, especially in our young people. And in order for this content to be transformative, we definitely need to engage our whole self, not only the rational, but the heart, the hands, and the feet. And which one am I missing? I'm getting emotional. If I hand it back to Kate, just to finish before we go and we finish this.
I will just add, it was so brilliant to hear these incredible examples of teachers, students around the world. I was really struck by what Jayden shared, which is the surprise at how young some of the students are who totally get this and totally know about it and want it to be taught. And that was really striking to me. But just the phenomenal examples and the energy with which you are adapting these tools, introducing them in your classrooms, and so generously sharing back. And I think, like Laura said, it's so important to write down, to share back. We massively value when you share back. We know at DEAL that what makes these ideas spread is the peer-to-peer inspiration from one teacher to another. So please do keep on sharing back the photos. Please share them in our photo stream. It's so inspiring for us and for all other educators to see photos and stories and experiences from one to another. And I think that's often what gives us the courage and the permission and the inspiration to get started. So thank you all so much. It's been brilliant hearing about these examples.
Thank you. And if we could finish with a big wave while we take a picture of all of us here, that would be amazing.
You want to stop sharing the screen?
Oh,
is
sorry.
that your screen? Thank you.
There we go. It should be happening unless my screen is frozen again. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone. Share with us.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, teachers.
Thank you so much.